these 3 women. More than I wanted to tell their stories, I wanted to hear them myself. They all had the audacity to believe that they deserved more.
I mean, I don't think that, look, sex scenes are like kind of always the same to shoot. They're not sexy, really, because they're kind of like, it's a choreographed dance, and now that there's intimacy coordinators around, there's lots of conversation around the actual practicalities of when you're gonna touch someone, what it's gonna be, what the boundaries are. So it is like, it's like a fight scene in a way, except it's sexual and not physically, aggressive. Well, actually, you've got some.
Yeah. I was like, speak for yourself.
In my sex scenes in this show, there's not a lot of kink, but it's when you have chemistry with someone, there is always like a natural intimacy, and if you're fortunate enough to have that natural chemistry, and there is a safety with the other actor you're working with, it does it's obviously this choreographed thing, but there is a level of kind of like energetic exchange that happens no matter what with any type of intimacy. And in this show, we did have a container that allowed, I think, for a lot of that natural energy to exist, sensual and sexual energy, and safety. Mm-hmm. So I think it kind of elevated some of the sex scenes in that way.
I think I've always had a lot of agency. I've been very fortunate, just overall. There's not a single intimacy scene that I've shot in anything I've ever done where I haven't choreographed it myself. So in that respect, I felt the same level of just giving my desire to Sloane, right? Like, oh, this is sexy to me. Or in this instance, this helps tell the story and the arc of this woman in the way that I want it to be told. What changed, what was different, I think, is experientially just first time working with an intimacy coordinator.
Same.
So
really, I don't think I knew that.
It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, and in that context, I mean, there was an added, once I settled into it, there was an added layer of just now I know that what's coming across is what we all want to be coming across. Then I'm not also necessarily playing the role of actor-director, which is nice, because then there is more of an opportunity to be more present and in it. And then, I have a whole kit. I have a playlist.
What's on your playlist?
Motivation by Kelly Rowland. Climax by Usher.
Is it arced? I love when this playlist arced.
It is, it's art.
Nice. Yeah.
Very well, it is.
Nice. It takes you on a journey.
It takes you on a whole journey.
I wanted to say one funny thing about the sex scene thing. I was watching Shailene's and I don't remember which one it was, but it was me and Jackson, my husband, watching one that she was, it was I think it was a redo of something where a condom had gotten lost inside, and she came out in her dressing robe, and we were watching. She's like, "You little creeps."
I don't even remember that.
It's so funny. We still talk about it anyway. Really talked about everything. I think it's she did her own version in a way that we also discussed her doing. So I think she knew everything, but also brought, what DeWanda said about Sloane. She brought her own desire and I think intuition and who she is to the character, because it was more of a character that was just holding so much, and so I think what she did was brought a multifaceted, just an amazing new cast to it.
I do remember, Betty in Austin episode 2, Betty said to me after they shot, I didn't know a day like this could actually be fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so that made us really happy that she felt like safe enough and comfortable enough that it was really playful. She could really bring her full self and wasn't doing that thing where she wasn't having to watch herself from the outside. She was able to fully be in it because we had Claire Warden, our wonderful intimacy coordinator, and I feel like we really tried to build a culture where people felt, supported and we had wonderful women DPs and I think we really tried to create an environment where people felt comfortable enough and safe enough that they could just be in it and really play.
I also just want to add one thing. Like, I think it's true. I know it's true of us, and we're both here so we can speak for ourselves. But I would say it's probably true for Betty as well, just because of the history of what she's played and different roles she's played. Like, we do have agency and aren't afraid to say, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this. I don't want to do this. I want to do this. But a lot of people haven't necessarily had that, and the focus so often is on females. And I just want to throw some love out to the men in this show.
Absolutely.
Yes. We're asked to do some pretty daring and brave things and reveal a lot of themselves in a vulnerable way. And I think that's actually one of the most powerful sexual parts of this show is watching men in a vulnerable, available place with an intimacy, because that is something that is so rare. And I think it was they were able to be in a place where they felt comfortable in their bodies. Again, hopefully not speaking for them, but just what I observed and experienced, at least with the men I got to work with, because of the container that you guys created on set, and I think because of our ability to communicate, and that was the first
and make
time
sure
I'd
that
ever
they
seen
knew that they were taken care of. There's something about we're in positions of leadership on the set, so to have your supporting cast and your co-stars just to be like, oh, okay.
It's also amazing to see a man in an intimate environment in a way that's truly silly and vulnerable and not just the hot,
to be hot.
steamy
Exactly.
guy. But the guy who does oh, sorry, I left my condoms inside your body. That's real life stuff, and that often doesn't get to be explored specifically for men. And that to me is one of the most exciting parts of watching these intimacy scenes.